That's beautiful.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Well, we're not doing it on paper this week. We may not be doing it on paper next week.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I am having a hard time doing it on paper.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Making the
So,
transfer, but the water paper, the water stuff is really good. If you don't have water cloth, what you want is lots and lots of paper, and it can be newspaper, it can be junk paper, it doesn't matter.
oh, okay.
Should be
Water,
junk paper.
water
Because what,
cloth.
yeah, water cloth, or lots and lots of cheap paper.
Okay.
Because what we're going to do is we're going to do 1,000,000 strokes, because what
Okay.
we're learning spontaneity. No, to make, the Japanese watercolor, Japanese brush ink drawing, it's all
Wow.
about the spontaneous stroke. But the thing is, it takes a lot of practice to have a spontaneous stroke that looks like reasonable. And so they use water paper so they don't use up paper and ink because it's just the water paper and water.
Is the water paper relatively inexpensive, or?
I got it set for about $9 of paper and 2 brushes.
Yeah, and I got 2 slightly higher quality water papers for $9 without brushes. So, and because you can use your regular watercolor brushes.
Okay.
They work fine.
Oh, go ahead.
I was given a brush by a student, students, Helen and Matt, and that's what started this whole idea that this would be a good thing to learn.
Oh.
And of course, as I learn things, and I want to teach them, because the best way to learn anything is to teach it.
Amen.
Partially because you spend a lot of time preparing and a lot of paper preparing and then
figuring out what to do.
Figuring out how are you going to teach this when you don't really know how to do it. And so that's what I've done. That's what I've done on my summer vacation.
Oh.
I've been working on it. So this is one on paper that I've been doing them on paper, but doing the strokes is challenging enough so that if I have any little piece of paper, I fill it with more strokes.
Okay.
See, and that's way too busy. So I said, I'm going to do one just before class and not fill it with anything. And I used the back of a painting.
Oh. Okay.
Because that's a good use of backs of paintings. For practice. And we are now starting. I hope we haven't lost people because we took a week off. So, Sumi-e. That's how they say it. The S-U-M-A.
Okay.
The E at the end is pronounced A. Sumi is just the way you'd expect S-U-M-I. And then there's a hyphen and there's A, E, and E. I would probably say Sumi-e.
That's what I was
saying in my head.
Yeah.
But then I watch videos and they say Sumi-e. And this is a mistake that I turned into a chop. I dripped. There was a drip. So I said, I bet you that that's what those chops originally were. They were fingerprints.
Ah.
Because it's just about that size.
There's a big difference in how it absorbs the paint and how the ink travels.
Well, the thing is with paper is that you have different values depending upon how much pigment you have. Whereas with the water cloth, all you're doing is with water. And so there's no value difference except as it dries, and then the shape is different anyway. So like these are darker. Some of these are darker than others.
Yes.
And then this is lighter. And that takes some doing. And also I did some of them with the ink that came with the brush that Matt and Helen gave me. And that's also an interesting thing because I don't know how dark my ink is. So I'm just going to use ink for my grays and use watercolor black for my blacks. and you can use watercolor black for your grays too, because you just add more water, and
Right.
that's not a problem.
Okay.
Because
this paper she's talking about, it's more like plastic. And then
no,
as you make I mean, what?
oh, that's
Yeah.
it's sort of like oilcloth
Yeah.
with a
Oh.
coating. It's got a coating.
And then when you wet it, it turns black. And then as it
Oh.
dries, it's
Here, I'll do something. Here we go.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm going to start. Really, we're going to concentrate on leaves, but I'll start with the bamboo stalk because actually it's easier. Okay, bamboo.
bamboo.
The whole idea is supposed to be, it's meditative. And so you breathe in and then you breathe out. And you're supposed to have a long one, a short one, and a medium one. And so that's the beginning. Boy, this brush is so wet. I just dripped, which is another lovely thing that happens. And the same thing, and this is the basic stalk. And then you do a little, what they call a bone stroke. And the bone stroke goes a little bit like that, and then back, and then over. And it's always, and it can be, or it can be, or it can even be,
Do we have to make the sounds too?
No, the sounds just help me. Hi, Jonathan. Anyway, here's our bamboo. And then you make, if you're your eye level bone stroke is the S one. So the ones that where you're looking up at the bamboo are like that. And where you're looking down, it's like that. I've lost my stroke. Then you can put a little line along the edge if you want. I like the little line. A lot of people don't do the little line. So that's the bamboo stalk. And this is the bone stroke that goes in the middle. I forgot to show you how to hold the brush. You're supposed to hold the brush as close to vertical as possible.
Oh.
Now I find not for the big wide stroke. I mean, that you can hold it the way you would think, because you want to get the side. But you do these.
Oh.
I'm not holding it like a pencil. You see how I'm holding it?
Mm-hmm.
What I just carry. What is the advantage to holding it the way that you hold it?
I haven't the slightest idea.
It's just the way it's done.
Well, actually, if you're using a big brush the way I am, it's really hard to just use the tip if you're doing it sideways, because you get the fatness. But it's easier because you're right on the tip. Now, to do the little branches, you do a sort of a weight, and then a light stroke, and a dot. And it's a variation of this bone stroke. As the cloth dries, it disappears, and
whatever you paint, it will fade.
it's just water. You can blot it up.
So how do you end up keeping a masterpiece?
You don't.
Okay.
And the idea is that you're learning the strokes and you practice on water paper, because otherwise you end up using
a lot of paper
before you get to make the masterpiece. And the idea is you're training your hand. Now, to do the leaves, and I've told you those basic strokes, but really what we're going to concentrate on leaves, because those are both fun and hard. And with a leaf, you start, and then you push your brush down, and then you come up. So what you're doing is you're doing this kind of motion. See, and that one's not so good. That one's better.
That is fun.
Yeah.
This is fun. Very relaxing.
Well, it's supposed to be meditative, and you're supposed to breathe with it. That one's perfect.
Mm.
You're supposed to be meditative, and so you exhale with the stroke. And the more you do, the better they get, hopefully. So do about 1,000. Luke would understand what I mean.
Yeah, his number is 10,000. 10,000 is the biggest number ever.
Right. So do 10,000. And one gal that I watched a video of, she said, don't do this. That's ugly. If you start to the left, go to the left. If you start to the right, and I'm more comfortable going left to right. So those aren't too bad, going the other way. And so you see the benefit of the water cloth?
I do, certainly. This is like a sophisticated toy for a kid.
Yes. Or for a grown-up. It's a
Yes,
sophisticated toy for a grown-up.
Yes, indeed.
Now, a more complex leaf, you do a little bit of a stem, push down, and then you come up. You do a little bit of a stem, push down, and come up. You look like crows. I have done about 10,000 of them. How many is Luke's number? What's Luke's number?
10,000.
10,000. Okay.
10,000.
Yeah.
The sister said 10,001 is bigger.
Possible.
How are you getting the nice point in the bottom?
You lift
Practice.
slowly. Lift
Okay.
slowly. And you have to have enough water on your brush. I discovered that one of the reasons I really like this particular brush is because it holds a lot of water. Because once they get dry, here, I'm going to dry it off. Then it doesn't work as well. See?
No, it's all smooshy.
Yeah. Now that's okay if you're doing bamboo because it can have that kind of roughness, but you don't want leaves like that. I mean, if you wet it and you want to do a stroke, that's too dry. That's okay for the bamboo stalk. And it's perfectly acceptable to do what I just did, to squish of course, if you're doing it with ink, then your hands get full ink. Okay, go the other way. Go up. I think that's the other reason for holding it straight up, Jonathan, is that we like to go the way we're used to writing, but we have to go in all kinds of different directions if we're doing leaves. See, now this one, I didn't bring it up evenly because I tipped the brush some, so it doesn't have a symmetrical end. I mean, which is okay, when you're doing a painting, that's okay. But that's what you're practicing, is coming up symmetrically. Whole books have been written on bamboo leaves.
About them or on them?
About them. Well, about how to paint them. Now, there are classic arrangements of bamboo leaves. And one is the goldfish tail. The goldfish tail, you have one stroke, and then you have a medium stroke, and you have a short stroke. A long stroke, a medium stroke, and a short stroke. And it doesn't have to be always with the long one in the middle. It can be a long stroke, a short stroke, and a medium stroke. And they call that the goldfish tail. I'm going to try that goldfish. I have never tried the goldfish thing going the other way. That's not bad. That looks like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
The other thing they talk about is this is an early morning bamboo with everything pointing up toward the sun, and then the afternoon bamboo is down.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Elin, you know what you could also make? Just occurred to me. One of the birds of paradise flowers.
Oh yeah, there's one called a swallowtail bamboo stroke, and that's almost always an afternoon bamboo, and it's got the head of the swallow, the tail of the swallow, and then the wings. And if you do a bunch of them, it does actually begin to look like a bunch of birds. That one's not so good. I didn't push hard enough in the middle. The whole notion is that you do these things forever. You do 10,000 and then you know how to do it. I don't know how to make them point the other way. I've never made them pointing the other way. They're always flying that way. So now I have to try that, now that I've thought about it. The head is wrong. Those are nice wings, though. The head is wrong and the tail is wrong. I think I could make some smaller. There. Little bird, a little bird. And if you do this swallowtail one, then one of the challenges is taking a small brush and making stems and deciding where the stems ought to be. Now, the regular fishtail is a long one and a short one. And you can do those in series. So I've got one doing that, and then I do a long one and a short one. And so now I sort of know is that my stems are going to do something like that. A long one and a short one. So that's an ordinary fishtail. And then a long one and a short one. So my stem goes something like that. That's not bad. The hardest thing I find is not making all of my stem strokes or my leaf strokes or my other strokes all the same size. And that's why they do these little formations to keep you from doing that. So a long one and a short one. Fishtail. You can also start with the stem. Goldfish. These short ones are not fat enough. See, I'm not getting it because I'm beginning to tip it and hold it like a pencil. Did you see what my hand did? And so I've sort of lost it because I've gone back to my comfortable stance instead of holding it the way I'm supposed to hold it. Goldfish. But they work. If I were doing it as a painting, I wouldn't be upset that those strokes were not perfect. You're aiming for perfection, but it's spontaneous perfection. These are all looking up. So these are all morning or spring. So now I'm going to do some afternoons. Goldfish. And notice I prefer to go in this angle. So now I'm going to do some in that angle, which is hard for me because I mean, the bamboo has leaves on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Can you cheat and turn the paper?
Probably can. I mean, you know, especially Asian peoples have rules, but they always break them. And we always break them.
But you have to learn how to do it right before you can break the rules.
Well, it helps. And that's why you do it 10,000 times.
times or 47.
I think I've done that. I think I've done 47. And I don't know how to do the swallow in a daytime way. First, I'll just do the swallow the regular way, the way I'm comfortable. Head, tail, wings. Okay, so that's an afternoon swallow. Now let's do a morning swallow.
Mm.
I don't know if I can do this. Oh, not too bad. Well, not too good either. Yeah, I like your idea of turning the paper upside down. See, now you can see my brush is getting dry because I'm getting ragged ends and it's getting not as even. Now let's do one pointing that way. His head is still pointing the wrong way.
Well, he looks pretty cool.
Well, it's nice that it's not actually a bird.
Okay.
It's nice that it's a formation of leaves. I think I like the fishy things better than the birdie things. See, there's 3 fishtails in a row, and I like that better.
When you start painting a leaf, you start at the end or the beginning of the leaf?
The stem.
Stem. Okay.
I'm starting at the stem, and I'm holding the brush, and I have fallen off it. I've gone back to this. and you're just touching the tip, and then you push, and then you lift slowly. Okay, Chris has brought me my wine. Does that mean it's almost time? Yes, it does mean it's almost time. I think I want to stay with this another week. because I'm having a hard time making the transition. This is the best one that I've done. And I did that just before class. So here's the swallow. And then these are morning, noon, and they're wrong. Because if you're going to have all of them on it, the morning ones should be up top and they dry as they go down because these are closer to the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and when I start out, you know, I've just been messing on the paper and it's way too busy. Because we haven't done much with stems, just leaves. That's not bad. That's my chop. It's actually my fingerprint. Run away.
Run away.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Next
Take care.
Stay cool.
Bye.
Yeah, stay cool.
Indeed.
Stay inside in
Yeah.
the air conditioning and paint.